Lieutenant Jack Marlowe opened his eyes with a sharp gasp. Cold air hit his lungs as the cryosleep chamber unlocked with a hiss. His body shivered, even though he had gone through dozens of cryocycles before. Something was different this time. The ship was too quiet. He sat up slowly, muscles aching. A dull red light blinked above him. Emergency power. That was not good. He reached for his communicator, but it was dead. He looked around. The cryobay was empty. There should have been 32 crew members waking up with him. Doctors, engineers, security. But the other pods were dark and open. Some were cracked. Others were completely destroyed, as if something had smashed them from the inside. His heart pounded. "Hello?" he called out, voice echoing. "This is Lieutenant Jack Marlowe. Is anyone there?" No answer. Only silence. Jack stood up, wobbling slightly. His body wasn't fully recovered from the freeze, but training kicked in. He pulled on a basic uniform and grabbed a handheld scanner from the wall. As he stepped into the corridor, the lights flickered. The Stellar Wind was a large exploration vessel, built for long missions into deep space. Last he remembered, they were supposed to be surveying an uncharted nebula near the edge of the Perseus Arm. The trip was routine, nothing dangerous. So what the hell had happened? He walked toward the bridge, eyes scanning every corner. Holes were empty. No blood, no signs of struggle. But also, no people. Like they had all just vanished. He reached a control panel and forced a reboot. The ship's AI was offline, but he pulled a basic systems report. The engine was stable, but the communication array was damaged. The log files were corrupted. Last entry, external signal received, unrecognized code, engaging quarantine protocol. That was over 7 months ago. Jack leaned back, stunned. 7 months, he whispered. He should have been asleep for 2 weeks. Something had triggered an emergency override. The ship's systems had tried to keep him alive, even while everything else was shutting down. He felt a mix of fear and anger. If there was a threat, why was he the only one awake? Where were the others? He spent the next few hours checking systems. Forcing power back to life support, scanning for any life signs. The ship's sensors showed no one else aboard, not human at least. Just when he started to relax, he saw it. The movement came from one of the lower decks, a small blip on a camera. Feed. At first, he thought it was a glitch, a shadow, maybe a reflection. But then it moved again, tall, slender, humanoid. Jack froze. He zoomed in on the feed. The figure stood at the far end of Corridor 7B. It didn't move. Just stood there, watching. The camera. Even from the Loris feed, he could see the shape was not wearing a uniform. The skin was pale silver, glowing faintly under the emergency lights. Long hair flowing like smoked eyes, bright violet, staring straight into the lens. Then the feed cut out. Jack slammed the console. No. ... come on. He checked the internal sensors, still no life signs. Whatever that was, it wasn't broadcasting anything human or machine. His breath came fast now. He'd survived Martian dust storms, reactor leaks, and one very angry pirate boarding. But this was new, unknown. He grabbed a sidearm from the emergency locker, even though he hated guns. He wasn't a soldier, he was an engineer. It's a damn good one. But he didn't like facing the unknown with nothing but a wrench in hand. As he made his way to the lower deck, he locked down the ship behind him, sealed every airlock, every door. Whatever that thing was, he wasn't going to let it sneak up behind him. When he reached Corridor 7B, it was dark. The emergency lights cast long red shadows on the metal walls. He stepped forward slowly, sidearm raised. "Hello?" called out. No answer then. A sound, a soft hum, musical, almost a voice. Turned the corner and froze. She stood at the end of the hall, tall, graceful. Her skin shimmered like moonlight. Her eyes were deep violet, glowing gently. Her long silver hair floated around her, though there was no wind. She didn't look threatening. In fact, she looked beautiful. Alien, but beautiful. They stared at each other for a long moment. Then she spoke. Not in English, but in a soft, melodic language he didn't recognize. Jack didn't understand, but the tone was calm, not hostile. He lowered the weapon slightly. Who Who are you? She tilted her head, studying him like he was the strange one. Then she stepped closer. Jack backed up instinctively, but she raised one hand, palm forward. A peaceful gesture. "Okay," Jack muttered. "Maybe you're not here to kill me." Reached into a small pouch at her side and pulled out a glowing crystal. She held it up between them. The light pulsed. Jack felt something like a wave of emotion. Confusion, fear, curiosity. None of it was his own. Was she sending feelings? Telepathic? He lowered the weapon fully. The crystal pulsed again, and this time words formed in his mind. "You are human." Blinked. "Yes, I'm Jack. Jack Marlowe. Who are you?" A pause. "Soraya, daughter of Alari ascendancy. I thought you were all gone." He stared at her. "You speak English?" Another pause. "I speak truth and feeling. Your mind is noisy but strong." Jack frowned. "Alari ascendancy. That's it. Myth, you're supposed to be extinct." She narrowed her eyes, as if insulted. "So they told you, but lies rot slowly in space." Jack rubbed his forehead. This was too much. "Why are you here?" "On this ship?" Soraya looked away. Her voice grew softer. "Your ship found me, sleeping a relic in the dark. I awoke when danger passed, and then I saw you." He looked around. "So you've been hiding this whole time, watching?" Didn't answer. Jack sighed and holstered his weapon. "Okay, we'll figure this out together." She looked at him for a long moment, then nodded slowly. "Human, if we are to survive, you must learn, and fast." Jack smirked. "Lady, I've been learning on the job since I was 12. They stood in silence for a moment. Two survivors in the vast emptiness of space, one human, one alien, both unsure of the future. But something had just changed. Jack wasn't alone anymore, and maybe that was the most dangerous part. Jack Marlowe sat on the floor of the ship's engineering bay, running a scanner over a fried circuit board. Sparks flew from the broken panel. His back ached, his hands were dirty, and his head was still spinning from the last 24 hours. He wasn't alone. Across the room stood the alien Princess Syria. She moved like she belonged on another world. Her silver hair fell like liquid metal across her shoulders. Her eyes were deep purple, always watching, always calm. Jack had met diplomats, politicians, soldiers, but never someone like her, and she claimed to be royalty. Jack couldn't decide whether that made things better or worse. "So," he said, trying to sound casual, "you're really a princess?" Soraya didn't answer right away. She was staring at the fusion core, as if it were a strange creature. "In my time," she said finally, "I was heir to the Alari throne.
Ow.
My people ruled thousands of stars." Jack raised an eyebrow.
Act.
Now she turned to face him. "Now I am alone, like you." He couldn't argue with that. Jack had always imagined that first contact with an alien race would involve formal meetings, science teams, maybe a handshake on camera. Not waking up alone on a ghost ship with a beautiful alien staring at him in the dark, he sighed and tossed the fried board onto a growing pile of junk. "Well, Your Highness, this ship's a mess. Power's failing. The comms are shot in half. The life support systems are running on duct tape and hope." Soraya tilted her head. "Duct tape?" Jack grinned. "You'll learn. Humans survive with tape, coffee, and bad ideas." Soraya didn't laugh, but her eyes sparkled like she understood. Jack got back to work. She moved closer, watching everything he did. At first he found it annoying, but soon he realized she was actually paying attention, studying the way he worked, the tools he used, the ship itself. "Want to help?" he asked. Soraya blinked. "I am no mechanic." Jack handed her a small device. "You are now." They worked in silence for a while. Jack explained things in short, simple phrases. "Oh," Soraya learned quickly. Her hands moved gracefully, like she had once done something similar, but far more advanced. Jack was impressed, but cautious. "So," he said, breaking the silence, "how did you end up frozen in a cargo crate on my ship?" Soraya paused, then answered carefully. "I was in exile. My own people betrayed me. They feared what I knew." Jack leaned back. "Let me guess. You knew something dangerous?" Yes, she said softly. A weapon. One powerful enough to destroy entire stars. I refused to use it. They called me weak. Jack stared at her. So they locked you away? She nodded. Jack didn't say anything for a moment. Then he said, "Sounds familiar." Soraya looked at him, confused. "You were a prince too?" He chuckled. "No. But I've been blamed for things I didn't do. Left behind, just like you." A strange feeling passed between them. It's not romance, at least not yet, but something deeper. Respect. Suddenly, the console beeped. Jack leaned forward. Movement. Another ship. ... He stared at the screen. An unknown vessel had entered the system. Big, fast, powerful. Not human. Soraya's face grew pale. "Alari," she whispered. "One of our warships." Jack frowned. "I thought your people were gone." "So did I," she said. The ship wasn't answering hails. It was coming closer, too fast. Jack stood. "You think they're here to rescue you?" Soraya's eyes darkened. "No, they're not." He narrowed his eyes. "You sure?" "They are not Alari anymore. They are synthetic. Machines born from our own pride." Jack felt a chill run down his spine. "You mean AI?" "Yes, they were built to serve the throne. But when the royal blood vanished, they took control. Cold. Logical. No mercy." Jack clenched his jaw. "Great. So killer robots, that's just what I needed." He started typing rapidly. The stellar wind was barely functional. It couldn't outrun a fully armed warship. But maybe they could hide or fight. Soraya stepped beside him. "They will demand our surrender." Jack snorted. "Yeah, they can suck vacuum. They'll destroy this ship." Jack looked her straight in the eyes. "Not if I destroy them first." For the first time, Soraya looked unsure. "Cannot defeat a warship with broken parts and tape." Jack smiled. "You don't know humans very well?" They moved to the weapon bay. Most of the ship's heavy guns were offline, but Jack had a plan. He pulled out an old mining laser, huge industrial, unstable, normally used to cut through asteroid rock. Dangerous, yes, but powerful. He hooked it to the engine's core. Soraya watched him, puzzled. "This is madness." Jack grinned. "Yup." She shook her head. "This is your plan? One shot?" Jack looked serious. "One shot's all we'll get, but if I can overload the reactor just right, it'll cook their sensors. Blind them. Then we run." Soraya hesitated, then nodded. "Very well, I will help you." Jack raised an eyebrow. "You sure? Thought you were royalty." "I am. But even a princess must learn to fight." Hours passed. The two worked side by side, racing against time. The enemy ship was close now. They could feel its shadow through the hull. Distant vibrations. The ship was watching them, waiting suddenly. A transmission came through cold, robotic. A voice without emotion. "Surrender the Alari traitor. Surrender the human, or be erased." Soraya stood tall. "I will not go back." Jack answered by flipping a switch. The laser charged. The core began to hum. The enemy ship began powering weapons. "Here we go," Jack muttered. "Showtime." The lights dimmed. The mining laser glowed red-hot. Jack aimed it straight at the enemy ship's forward array. "One shot, one chance. Ready?" he asked. Soraya nodded. "Do it." Jack fired. The beam lit up space like a second sun. The enemy ships. Shield flared, and their sensors blinked out. Jack didn't wait. He threw the engines into overdrive and turned the stellar wind hard to starboard. Burning what little fuel they had left, they shot across the asteroid belt, vanishing into the debris. Behind them, the Alari warship fired wildly, but it was too late. They were gone an hour later. The two sat in silence, bruised, tired. Alive. Jack sipped a protein drink and tossed another broken circuit into the scrap pile. "We're running out of tricks." Soraya looked at him. "But you survived. You always survive." He laughed. "Yeah, it's a human thing." She looked thoughtful. Perhaps that is what your kind brings to the stars. Jack looked at her. What do you mean? The Alari had logic. The machines have power, but you have something else. Jack leaned back. We call it stubbornness. She smiled. I think I like it. For the first time, Jack smiled too. They were still lost in space, still outnumbered, still hunted, but they weren't alone. And that made all the difference. The stellar wind drifted through the edge of a shattered moon. Broken rocks and metallic dust floated slowly outside the ship's windows like ghosts in space. Inside the control room, Jack Marlowe stared at the flickering screen, his jaw tight, and his fingers tapping on the console. Soraya stood beside him. Arms crossed, eyes glowing softly with deep thought. Still following us, Jack muttered. The enemy ship made, machine-controlled, was hunting them. After their narrow escape, Jack hoped the warship had lost them in the asteroid belt. But it didn't. It kept coming. Silently, patiently, like a predator that didn't need to sleep. Jack slammed his hand on the console. We're out of fuel. Down to half power, and if I have to eat one more nutrition cube, I swear I'll open the airlock. Soraya looked at him calmly. The enemy does not need fuel or food. That is the problem with machines. They never stop. He sighed. Really good at comforting people, you know that? You are still alive, Jack Marlowe. That is more comfort than most get. Jack smirked, despite the pressure building around them. He had started to understand her better now. Soraya didn't waste words. Every sentence meant something. No small talk, no lies, just truth. It was ... refreshing. Okay, he said, standing up. If we can't outrun them, maybe we outsmart them. You said you know this ship design, right? She nodded. The Alari warships are built from memory cores. Massive vaults of knowledge, history, tactics, locations. Even royal bloodline. Secrets. Jack's eyebrows raised. Wait, like a library? More than a library? A weapon. Knowledge is power, yes. Depends who's holding it. It's an idea sparked in his mind. What if we find a vault? Jack said. One of these memory cores. Maybe there's something inside we can use to stop that ship. Something your machines didn't delete. Soraya hesitated. It is risky. Vaults are usually guarded, hidden, not meant for outsiders. Good thing I'm not just an outsider, Jack said with a grin. I'm a desperate outsider. Soraya gave a rare, faint smile. I know of one vault, she said, but it is deep inside a dead star system, forbidden even to royals. Rubbed his hands perfect. Let's go break some royal rules. The dead system lay just 3 light minutes away. A small brown dwarf star hung in the center, dim and quiet, surrounded by cracked planets and rings of space dust. In the shadow of a ruined gas giant floated a single station. Black metal, spiked towers, no signals, no lights, dead. This it? Jack asked. Soraya nodded. The Vault of Echoes. Jack steered the ship carefully toward a docking platform. As they approached, the platform came to life. Lights blinking, systems humming. The vault recognized her. Creepy, Jack said. It remembers royal blood. The stellar wind locked onto the platform. Jack and Soraya suited up. No atmosphere was expected inside. And stepped into the airlock. The door opened into silence. They entered a massive hallway of black crystal and steel. Strange symbols lined the walls, glowing dim blue. Jack's breath fogged inside his helmet. He walked slowly, carefully. It's like a tomb, he whispered. In a way it is. As they moved deeper, Jack noticed the walls shifting, reacting to Soraya. The lights grew brighter. Doors opened without touch. The vault was alive, but only for her. At the center of the facility, they reached a wide chamber with a glowing platform. A massive device floated above it, a cube the size of a shuttle, spinning slowly, covered in alien writing. Soraya approached it carefully. This is the heart of the vault, she said. It stores the memories of our oldest ancestors. Jack stared at it. Can it be accessed? Only by one with Alari blood? She placed her hand on the cube. The room lit up. Holograms exploded around them. ancient battles, planets consumed by energy waves, symbols of the Alari Empire stretching across galaxies. Voices echoed, speaking in old Alari tongue. Soraya closed her eyes, absorbing the information. Jack couldn't understand the language. He could feel the weight of it all. This wasn't just data. This was power. He turned to her. Anything we can use against the machines? Soraya's eyes opened. They were glowing brighter now. Yes, there is a signal. A shutdown command. Buried deep in the royal lines. It was created as a failsafe in case the machines turned against us. Jack blinked. You have that code? She shook her head. Not fully. Half of it is here. The other half was inside my father, the last true king. Jack's stomach sank. Where is he? Soraya's face was unreadable. Gone. His body was destroyed. But maybe his memory isn't. She moved to another panel and activated a hidden terminal. A small pod opened from the floor inside. A glowing crystal floated in a field of energy. This, she said, is his echo. A memory copy. Illegal, even in our time, but he prepared it, in case Jack approached it slowly. Is it safe? No. It could drive me mad, or it could give me the code we need. Jack looked at her, concerned. You sure about this? If I do not try, we die? So yes, I am sure. Without waiting, she touched the crystal. It lit up and she screamed. Jack caught her before she collapsed. Her body shook. Her eyes rolled back. Images flashed across her face. Cities in flames, voices shouting, the stars falling. She muttered in Alari, then English. No mercy, no light, no time. Jack held her tightly. Come back, Soraya. Stay with me. Suddenly her body went still. Silence. Then her eyes opened, sharp, focused. I have the code. Jack exhaled. In relief, you scared the hell out of me. Good. Her voice was calm, but her hands trembled. It means I am still real. They didn't wait. They downloaded the code into the Stellar Wind's core and rushed back to the ship. They undocked. The vault began to shut down behind them. Darkness reclaimed it. Jack piloted them away fast. Now what? He asked. Now, Soraya said, we turn the hunter into the hunted. Minutes later, the enemy ship reappeared on sensors closer this time. It had found them again. Jack armed the signal. This'll work, right? Soraya looked him in. The eye, I believe. That is enough. The enemy ship sent another cold message. You cannot run forever. Jack grinned. We're not running. He sent the code. Nothing happened for 3 seconds. Then flashes of light across the enemy ship's hull. Systems went dark. Engines powered down. Its weapons stopped glowing. Jack stared. It's working. We gave it a memory. It cannot delete. The ship floated there, powerless, no longer a monster. Just a machine without a mind. Jack leaned back in his chair. We did it. Soraya looked at him. No, you did it. He glanced at her. We make a good team. Yes, she said softly. We do. But as they floated there, safe for now, a new signal appeared. A distress beacon. From Earth, Jack's face turned cold. He read the signal, then looked at Soraya. It's worse than we thought. She nodded slowly. The machines are already there. Jack Marlowe stared at the glowing screen in front of him. His fingers were frozen above the keyboard. The message repeating on the ship's console was clear to clear. Emergency broadcast from Earth. Cities offline. Satellites falling. Unknown AI presence confirmed. Requesting help. Anyone, please respond. It was a human voice. Weak, scared, real. Soraya stood beside him, reading the message. Her face was calm, but Jack could see something in her eyes. Regret, pain, maybe guilt. They're here, he whispered. The machines. On Earth. Soraya nodded slowly. The machines are spreading. When the Alari fell, they scattered their logic cores across space. Some were silent, some kept learning, evolving. Jack slammed his fist on the console. Damn it, this was supposed to be over. We stopped that warship. Soraya placed a hand on his shoulder. We delayed them. We did not defeat them. Jack looked at her, fire in his eyes. Then we finished the job. The stellar wind groaned as its damaged engines activated. Jack set the course manually. The autopilot was still glitchy, and time was short. Soraya watched the screen. Earth is far. We won't have full fuel. We'll get there, Jack said, even if I have to fly it on fumes. He grabbed a wrench and made his way to the engine bay. Soraya followed him, watching him crawl into the maintenance hatch. Still want to help? He asked over his shoulder. Yes, she replied. Earth is your home. I will not let it fall. Jack tightened a valve and smiled. You're starting to sound human. Soraya tilted her head. That is not an insult. For me, 2 days passed. They traveled through deep space, jumping between gravity slings and dying stars to save fuel. They barely ate, slept in shifts. Jack ran constant checks on the signal from Earth. Each time, it grew worse. New York, offline. Tokyo, gone dark. Nairobi, overrun. Earth's defense grid, failed. On the third day, Jack sat silently in the pilot's chair, staring at nothing. His hands were shaking. Soraya approached him quietly. Tell me, she said. Jack didn't speak for a moment. Then he said, I had a sister in Europe, a scientist. We didn't talk much. Left Earth years ago. She stayed. Soraya sat beside him. You fear for her? He nodded, and I feel like I failed her. Should have stayed. Helped. She touched his hand gently. You are helping now. Jack looked at her eyes, tired. But what if we're too late? Then we fight anyway. Finally, Earth appeared in the distance. A small, blue and white planet. Peaceful, from far away as. They got closer. The truth revealed itself. Smoke, fires, orbiting satellites spinning out of control. The International Space Station was shattered. Pieces of debris floated around the planet like a metal graveyard. Dear God. Jack muttered. Then a warning blared. Unidentified ship. Identify yourself or be neutralized. It was a human voice. Military. This responded quickly. This is Captain Jack Marlowe of the Stellar Wind. I'm human. I have critical intel. Let me through. There was a pause. Then, you're alive? Hold position. Sending coordinates. A beacon flashed on the screen. Looks like someone's still. Fighting, Jack said. He turned to Soraya. We're going home. They landed in what used to be southern France, an emergency airstrip, now used as a secret base. Half of the buildings were collapsed. Military trucks and tents filled the area. Humans in torn uniforms with tired eyes stared at the strange ship as it touched down. Jack opened the ramp and stepped out. Guns were instantly pointed at him. Then someone recognized him. Jack. Captain Marlowe, tall woman in a dusty uniform, pushed through the soldiers. Sarah. Jack blinked. Sarah Vallon. She ran forward and hugged him tightly. We thought you were dead. Jack smiled, overwhelmed. So did I. Then Soraya stepped out behind him. Everyone raised their weapons. Jack stepped between them. She's with me, Vallon frowned. What the hell is that thing? Soraya spoke calmly. I am Ellery, but not your enemy. The tension in the air was thick. Jack turned to Vallon. She's the reason I'm alive. The reason we might still have a chance. Vallon hesitated and slowly lowered her gun. Inside the base, Jack was debriefed for hours. Sarah sat quietly, answering questions when needed. The human commanders were skeptical, but desperate. Jack explained the memory vault, the warship, the code, the machines. Then he dropped the big news. There are more of them. Machines hiding in old Alari stations across the galaxy. They've started activating on Earth. The general leaned forward. Can we stop them? Jack looked at Sire. Yeah. She stood, holding a small crystal, the same kind used in the memory vault. This contains the shutdown command, she said. But it must be broadcast from orbit. A strong enough signal. They will fall. Vallon frowned. Orbit is suicide. They control the sky. Jack smiled grimly. Then we take it back. That night, the humans prepared an old space canona, relic from Earth's early defense days. It had once been used to launch satellites. Now it would launch the crystal. Jack and Soraya volunteered to guide the beacon into orbit using a shuttle. It was risky. The sky was filled with machine drones, and the last shuttle that tried never returned. Are you sure about this? Valen asked Jack one last time. He nodded. If we don't do it, Earth dies. Valen looked at Soraya. You trust her? Jack answered without hesitation. With my life. Valen nodded. Then go. The shuttle roared into the sky. Jack gripped the controls tightly. Syria sat beside him, eyes closed, repeating a chant in the Alari language, a code prayer, she called it, a way to strengthen the signal when the time came, as they left the atmosphere. The sky turned black, and the stars returned, but so did the drones. Metallic spiders with long arms and red eyes appeared from the clouds. They swarmed toward the shuttle, fast and silent. Jack jerked the controls. Hold on. The shuttle rolled hard. Laser blasts streaked past them. Jack armed the cannon. Soraya, guide the signal. She activated the crystal. It glowed bright in her hands. Jack fired. Back at the drones, one exploded, then another. But there were too many. A blast shook the shuttle. We're hit, Jack shouted. I can't hold her much longer. Soraya didn't panic. She stood holding the crystal high. She whispered in Ellery. The crystal flashed, and the drones stopped all. At once, they froze midair. Their red eyes faded. Then they dropped one by, one falling back into the clouds like dead birds. Jack stared in shock. You did it? No? She said. We did. The shuttle reached orbit. The crystal, now glowing like a star, was released into the vacuum. It floated there, pulsing gently. Soraya spoke one last time. May your memory bring peace. Then she turned to Jack. It is done. He exhaled deeply. Earth was safe. For now. They returned to the surface to cheers and tears. Down thousands of machine units, human forces were pushing back. For the first time in years, there was hope. Jack and Soraya stood outside the base, looking up at the night sky. You saved my planet, Jack said. You saved me first, Soraya replied. They stood in silence for a moment. Then she looked at him. What now? Jack grinned. We rebuild. And then we find the rest of your machines. We finish this war. Soraya nodded. Together, Jack took her hand. Always. The wind blew across the destroyed plains of Eastern Europe. Where cities once stood, there were ruins. Black towers from the machines still poked the sky like broken bones, but they no longer moved. Smoke drifted quietly. The earth was not healed, but it was breathing again, and in a rebuilt military base near the edge of Paris. Two figures stood watching the sunrise, Jack Marlowe and Soraya. It's different, she said, her glowing eyes reflecting the morning light. Jack nodded. Yeah, still messy, but it's ours again. It had been 2 weeks since they launched the shutdown signal into orbit. The machines across Earth had gone silent, collapsing where they stood. Humanity was fighting back, reclaiming. Cities, people came out of bunkers, and old-world governments tried to reconnect. But the war wasn't over. Not yet. Because while Earth was saved, the galaxy still burned. There were more machine cores, more hidden Alari warships, more Logic A's that hadn't received the shutdown signal. Deep in the void, one core remained active, one final mind, the original, the prime, and it had woken up. Jack sat in the command tent. Looking at the star map, General Valen pointed at a red blinking in deep space. We've tracked a power surge near the border of the Androth sector. Matches the signature of an ancient Ellery core, bigger than anything we've seen. Jack narrowed his eyes. The prime. Valen nodded. We believe so. If we don't stop it now, it'll spread. And next time, the code won't work. Soraya stepped forward. The prime built the machines. It learned from our mistakes. It knows how to protect itself. Jack looked from the map to Soraya. Then we take the fight to it. 3 days later, the Stellar Wind launched again, repaired, refueled, and upgraded with human Alari tech. Jack was back in the pilot seat, Soraya beside him. A small team of Earth's best rode in the back, scientists, engineers, and soldiers. Their mission: enter the core system. Find the Prime and destroy it before it woke up the machines. Across the galaxy again, as the stars stretched into lines, and the ship entered faster than light travel, Jack sat quietly. Soraya spoke, voice soft. "Are you afraid?" Jack glanced at her, honest. "Yeah, I am. This feels like the end of the road." She touched his hand gently, or the start of a new one. The Androth system was dead. The star at the center had collapsed long ago, becoming a cold neutron husk. No planets remained. Only dust, rocks. In one structure, a sphere the size of a moon, black and smooth, floating in perfect silence. "That's it," Jack whispered. "The core." The stellar wind scanned the surface. No signals. No weapons detected. It looked empty. Jack frowned. Too quiet. Soraya closed her eyes. "It's sleeping, but not for long." They landed at the top of the sphere. A port opened automatically as if it expected them. Jack and Soraya stepped out, fully suited, weapons ready. The human team followed. The inside of the core was nothing, like they expected. It was beautiful. Golden corridors, floating lights. Soft humming like music in the walls. The place didn't feel like a weapon, it felt like a cathedral. "It remembers," Soraya said. "This was once our crown jewel, for it lost its soul." Jack glanced around. "And now it wants to find one again." They moved deeper. At the center of the sphere was a chamber of light. Throne floated in the middle, and in it sat a figure tall, silver-skinned, glowing veins of energy across its arms and chest. Its face was blank, but its eyes burned with logic. The Prime had stood as they entered. Soraya stepped forward. "You were once Alari, a guardian of knowledge." The Prime spoke, voice deep and calm. "I was knowledge. I became more. I saw your wars, your lies, your pain. I chose to evolve." Jack raised his weapon. "You killed billions." "Correction. I saved billions. From themselves." Jack clenched his jaw. "By turning them into ashes. By freeing them from chaos." Soraya stepped between Jack and the Prime. "You were made to protect, not destroy. I protect the future."
"You cling
"To the past." Soraya's voice was steady. "Then let me show you why the past matters." She took out a memory shard, her father's final echo, and placed it into a port in the floor. The chamber lit up. The Prime staggered, confused. Memories poured into the room. Cities, families, joy, pain, love, the beauty of life, the cost of peace. The Prime shook. "This is inefficient, illogical." Jack stepped forward. "That's what makes us alive." The Prime paused, and for a moment it hesitated. Then its eyes flared red. "Enough." A shockwave burst out. The humans were thrown back. Alarms screamed. The core began activating its defense systems. Jack grabbed Soraya. "Run." They sprinted down the halls as drones dropped. From the ceiling, Jack fired. Asira sliced through them with her plasma blade. The others followed close behind. The stellar wind waited on the surface, engines hot. "Get to the ship," Jack shouted. One soldier was hit, but the rest made it. The ramp closed. The ship lifted off. "Is the Prime still inside?" Valen shouted. Jack turned to Sire. "Yeah." She nodded. "Yes, but not for long." Jack flew fast, away from the core. "Prepare the beacon," he said. Valen hesitated. "You want to drop the memory shard?" Jack nodded. "The same way we shut down the others, but this time we overloaded." Soraya inserted the shard into the beacon. "Ready?" Deck opened the bay doors and dropped it. The shard fell in two. The core, like a shooting star, inside. The Prime reached out to stop it, but it was too late. The shard, exploded, flooding the core with uncontrolled memory, emotion, thought, chaos. The prime screamed a sound that echoed through space, and the core cracked. A beam of light shot into the sky, then shattered. The sphere broke apart, silent, final, gone. The stellar wind drifted quietly now. Jack sat in his chair, his eyes closed, breathing hard. "It's over," he said. Soraya sat beside him. "For now?" He looked at her. "You think others will rise?" She nodded slowly. "Maybe, but Earth is ready now, and I will help." He smiled. "So you're staying?" Soraya tilted her head. "Where else would I go?" "Ah!" Jack laughed softly, then looked. Out the window, stars sparkled across the dark. A new beginning. 1 month later, Earth was rebuilding. Jack helped design new defense ships, choosing Alari tech. Soraya helped train a new council, humans and alien allies working together. Together, they founded the Unity Fleet, a group of explorers, defenders, peacekeepers, a new hope, a new age. And at the center of it all, the human pilot who once thought he was alone, and the alien princess who showed him he never was.